Dolphins will have it 1st and 10 from their own 20. Dan Marino. Amazing. In the year of the backup quarterback, Marino, 37 years old, has missed just 6 snaps this season, none because of injury. And the numbers speak for themselves. A future Hall of Famer, 24 NFL records. Marino put it in the air 40 times last week in the victory over New Orleans. Miami will come out with a double tight end set. Abdul-Jabbar and Pritchard in the backfield. Now Pritchard goes to the end of the line. On 1st and 10, Marino looking to throw. Angles one, incomplete. O.J. McDuffie, the intended receiver. The offensive line for the Miami Dolphins, probably the biggest story for the Dolphins heading into this game. 3 injuries on the line. Tim Ruddy and James Brown are the starters that the Dolphins have had all season, the center and the right tackle. Backs and receivers. Ed Perry gets the nod for Troy Drayton. A hand injury. On 2nd and 10 from the 20. Marino on the give for Abdul-Jabbar, trying to push the pile ahead, and he picks up a host of Raider tacklers in on the play. The Oakland Raiders defense comes in right in his last 10 games. The linebackers, Harvey, Beekert, and Terry Wooden. And in the secondary, Anthony Newman returns after missing 2 straight games with toe and ankle injuries. 3rd and 8, Miami will come out with a 4-receiver look. Bernie Parmalee, the 4th receiver, out of the shotgun. Marino, and it's over the head of the intended receiver. Out on the sideline, Lamar Thomas. Dolphins go 3 and out.
And John Gruden, the head coach of the Oakland Raiders, said we want to test the offensive line. We want to test those offensive guards. And they put pressure on Dan Marino right off the bat with Grady Jackson getting pressure over right guard Mike Sheldon.
Injury to Desmond Howard. The neck injury will keep him out of action, so Klaus Wilmsmeyer will punt to the veteran Tim Brown. Short punt, Brown moves ahead, catches cleanly at the 47, moves into Miami territory and brought down at the 45-yard line. Great field position for Oakland to start with. On the 31-yard punt, Larry Izzo, the tackle on special teams. Donald Hollis. An amazing story. Hollis, as a kid growing up in Texas, had a poster of Dan Marino in his bedroom growing up. He idolized him.
The old poster with a big afro Danny had and the 3 wristbands on each hand. I remember those posters back then. That's when I was starting in the NFL.
Hollis told us he wanted to do everything like Marino. He just couldn't grow that curly hair like him. On the first play from scrimmage for Oakland, the handoff going to Napoleon Kaufman. Kaufman coming off a 150-yard plus effort last week in the loss to Washington. Oakland Raiders offensive line, Mo Collins has been in there for most of the season, replacing Pat Harlow. Collins, the rookie out of Florida. Backs and receivers. James Jett banged up a bit, but Jett does get the start, nursing a knee injury. Terry Mickens checks in as a 3rd receiver on 2nd and 9. It's Kaufman again. A little jitterbug move as he was able to get across the line of scrimmage, but he was met by Zach Thomas and Sam Madison. Modest gain on 2nd down to set up 3rd and about 6. The Miami defense. Dolphins have not been thrilled with the play of Jason Taylor here in the 2nd half of the season. Maybe his size part of the problem on the defensive line. The linebackers, that's their bread and butter. Zach Thomas and Robert Jones. Jimmy Johnson said it's like having 2 middle linebackers. And in the secondary, Sam Madison having a breakout year in his 2nd season out of Louisville. On a 3rd and 6. Dolphins in the dime package. Hollis able to dump it off to the safety valve. Tim Brown bringing it in and brought down just at the marker. Looks like it might be enough for the 1st down.
That's a nice job of Tim Brown of staying with his quarterback, Donald Hollis. Sees him getting flushed out of the pocket, but he stays with his route, has good eye contact with his quarterback. He sees he's in trouble. Now let's just run to the outside, throw me the ball. There it is, and makes a nice move to lunge for the 1st down.
So a new set of downs for the Raiders to work with. Brown not having the Pro Bowl caliber season he's been accustomed to in his 11-year career. On the give for Kaufman. moving ahead to the 30-yard line, and a 5-yard gain on first down for the talented running back out of Washington, Derek Rogers, making the tackle.
Napoleon Kaufman had a big game last week, over 120 yards in the first half. This is how you get your offenses started. If you can get it in 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 6, you need to get some positive yards on first down, and that's where Napoleon Kaufman can help out his quarterback, Donald Hollis.
Ian Eagle and Mark May with you from Network Associates Coliseum here in Oakland. Just underway in the first quarter. Raiders starting out with great field position after Miami went 3 and out. On the give for Kaufman, and not much doing as he got back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a gain of half a yard, and it brings up 3rd and about 4.
Steve Wisniewski, the left guard for the Raiders, not only didn't get a push on Daryl Gardner, got his helmet knocked off. Gardner's having an outstanding year for the Dolphins. He's the guy that helps out Zach Thomas in the middle, because if he can keep those guards and centers off Zach Thomas, he can roam and make those plays in the middle of that defense. That's why Zach Thomas is having a great year.
Thomas comes in, the leading tackler for the Dolphins, 137 on the season. On 3rd and 4, Hollis a deep drop, and the ball was dropped. Will they call it incomplete? Yes, they will. It was intended for Tim Brown. Sam Madison with the big stick to jar the ball loose, but it was ruled incomplete.
And Sam Madison's having a great year. And Jimmy Johnson said, hey, he's playing at the cornerback position as good as any quarterback I've been around. And here it's a picture perfect. Right in the side with his shoulder. That's where you want to hit him, right where the ball is with his shoulder. Put it right on there and knocking it loose. That's a nice hit by Sam Madison.
Tell you what, it was close to a fumble as well. It's a call that could have gone either way. They ruled that Brown did not have possession. 48-yard field goal attempt for Greg Davis. The kick. No good. Way off to the left. So the Raiders squander an opportunity to get on the board first. And Miami and Oakland scoreless here in the first quarter.
Well, that's an opportunity. Once you get in that Miami field position, you've got to capitalize and get points. And talking to John Gruden yesterday, he said, hey, we've been moving the ball offensively between the 20s, but we just can't put points on the board, and that's a problem we had the entire season.
Raiders expecting their biggest crowd of the season here at Oakland today. The previous high was the game against the Denver Broncos. We'll get official word, of course, later on today. John Gruden. In the summer of 1983, he was preparing for his freshman year at Dayton as the quarterback. Dan Marino was getting drafted by the Miami Dolphins, just to put things in perspective.
And where were you in 1983?
We don't want to go there. On the pass for O.J. McDuffie. The quick toss on first down. Play made by Perry Carter.
This offense for the Dolphins, and Kippy Brown's been moving O.J. McDuffie around inside, outside, putting him in the backfield to help in pass protection. They're trying to disguise him because he's the go-to guy. He's had as good a month as he's ever had in his career this last 4 or 5 games for the Dolphins, and he's the guy they've got to get the ball to.
On a 2nd and 8. Abdul-Jabbar and Pritchard in the backfield. I want to welcome those of you who have been watching the Jets and the Seattle Seahawks from the Meadowlands here in Miami. A score that the Dolphins certainly were interested in as the Jets come from behind to defeat Seattle 32-31. No score. John Avery getting the call on that play for the Dolphins, setting up a 3rd and 7. Dolphins went 3 and out to open play. Oakland had tremendous field position but had no points to show for it. Greg Davis missing a 48-yard field goal attempt. Now Miami from the 41 on a 3rd and 7. Out of the gun, Marino. And the pass dropped. McDuffie had an opportunity. It would have been well short of a first down. And the Dolphins actually fortunate that that ball was not picked off.
When balls are tipped in the secondary, bad things happen. The defenders usually come up with them. But here's a ball that's thrown behind him that he should at least bring in for the reception. Even though it's short, this is what the Raiders want to do. They want to pressure Dan Marino, get him to throw the ball off stride where he's not comfortable throwing it on a timely manner. He's off time right here because he's got somebody in his face. The ball's behind McDuffie, but that should be a reception by O.J. McDuffie.
Wilmsmeyer with his second punt, and it's blocked. The Raiders come up with a block punt. Down the sideline, Kenny Shedd, and he's blocked out inside the 10-yard line. Terry Wooden coming up with a block on Wilmsmeyer.
And you look for big plays. Special teams are always a part of the game. It's a big play in the game. They get it from Terry Woodard on the outside. What happens? You get a starting defensive lineman. You put him out there at the linebacker position, and he just runs over the smaller offensive player. They're trying to block him. He gets in cleanly and blocks this kick. And it's a great job by Terry Woodard of not touching the kicker, getting out in front of his leg, laying out, and just swiping that ball down.
John Gruden told us a couple of days ago he's been concerned about the special teams play. Well, his special teams just came up with a huge play here in the first quarter, setting up a 1st and goal from the 6. Trying the spin move and to no avail, as Harvey Williams was brought down on contact, and no gain on 1st down.
And that's a nice job by Tim Bones of getting leverage over Derek Graham and pushing him in the backfield, creating a new line of scrimmage.
A loss of a half a yard, bringing up 2nd and goal. They'll back it up just shy of the 7-yard line. Brown goes in motion. And a whistle will blow this play dead before we even got started.
Prior to the snap, false start, 76 to the offense, 5 yards, repeat 2nd down.
That call from Walt Coleman, our referee, and Coleman and his crew couldn't have gotten to this game any sooner, considering what happened a week ago, trying to erase the memory of the New England Buffalo game they officiated.
That's Steve Wisniewski, a 6-time Pro Bowler for the Raiders. That's something that you've got to concentrate on at home. That's a gimme play for the Dolphins.
Back it up, 2nd and goal from the 12. Williams in the backfield. Hollis looking to put it in the air for the end zone. And it's intercepted off the hands of Ricky Dudley. Sam Madison comes up with his 7th INT of the season.
Ryan, Sam Madison got the interception, but it was the coverage by Zach Thomas. Here's a guy that never leaves the field to play. You talk about middle linebackers. Zach Thomas is a guy that deserves to be in the Pro Bowl, but he can drop back with coverage and did a tremendous job of knocking that ball out of there.
8:12 left in the first. No score.
And Zach Thomas is going to drop off in coverage, doesn't leave the field to play. Here's an excellent job of covering the tight end. Goes to the tight end, watch him drop back to the post pattern and dives out, knocks the ball up in the air, so Sam Madison gets the interception. I said when you tip the ball in the defensive secondary, bad things happen for the offense, great things happen for the defense, and an interception for the Miami Dolphins.
They'll have it 1st and 10 from the 20. They've done little so far offensively. On the handoff, Abdul-Jabbar brought down shy of the line of scrimmage. Grady Jackson came firing in. Great play by the 2nd-year pro out of Knoxville. One more look at the interception. Hollis filling in for the injured Jeff George.
And the timing by Zach Thomas right there to knock that ball away. I mean, that's a bang-bang play if you talk about bang-bang plays. Zach Thomas all over that one.
George inactive today, that lingering groin injury, and a lot of controversy this week in regards to a radio show he did earlier on Monday, basically declaring himself out for the season. Abdul-Jabbar with a head of steam, but he got tripped up. Grady Jackson again making the play. Abdul-Jabbar getting back to the original line of scrimmage and setting up a 3rd and 10 from the 20.
And the Raiders are just taking the angles away from the Dolphins. There's someone in every gap. Look at the gaps. There's black jerseys in every gap getting penetration, but Grady Jackson goes around the center, Tim Ruddy, and makes the tackle in the backfield. The Raiders are attacking the line of scrimmage. They're creating new lanes, forcing the running backs to go laterally, which they don't want to do, but the penetration kills the running play, and the Raiders are getting in those gaps and penetrating.
And remember the injuries to the Miami offensive line. It will affect the running game here today. Marino flushed out of the pocket, throwing, and in stride, McDuffie makes the catch for a 1st down. A 21-yard pass play, Marino to McDuffie. Get used to that combination because they've been clicking over the last month.
And you're going to keep bleeding the defense until it stops. But the great thing about Dan Marino, he can't run anymore, but he's got great feet in the pocket. Slides up, knows where his wide receiver's in, and zips that ball into O.J. McDuffie coming on the crossing pattern.
O.J. McDuffie over his last 4 games putting together an outstanding season. He's on the brink of going over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. On the handoff, Abdul-Jabbar, an explosion. Abdul-Jabbar is a sprint. And Woodson forces him out of bounds. He didn't have that extra gear, but a huge gain nonetheless. 44 yards on the ground and setting up the Miami offense on the doorstep.
And this is a great job of the offensive lineup, just holding on your blocks. Abdul-Jabbar will take the ball, and he never slows down. He hits the hole 100 miles an hour, finds the crease, and now makes a cut to the left and just beats the defense down the field. It's a great job of the offensive lineup, giving him a crease, but Abdul-Jabbar never deviated, never slowed down. He hit the hole 100 miles an hour.
He was pushed out of bounds at the 14-yard line. And now Miami into Oakland territory for the first time today. On first down, Marino able to get it to Ed Curry, the tight end, as he twirled his way inside the 10. And very close to another first down. Linebacker Terry Wooden making the tackle.
Now, we talked about before the connection of Dan Marino and O.J. McDuffie, but I think what Dan Marino's been able to do this year more than he has in the past is spread the ball around. His go-to guy is McDuffie, but he gets it to Gadsden. He gets it to Troy Drayton. He gets it to Perry. He gets it to Pritchett. He's been spreading it around throughout the entire offense.
On 2nd and 2, Avery now checks in for the Dolphins. Line of scrimmage is just short of the 6. And Avery has nowhere to run. Richard Harvey just smelled that one out from the beginning, dropping Avery for a loss on the play.
I said penetration kills running plays, but right here Richard Harvey just goes right on by the block on the outside by Ed Perry. He's too slow to get there. You can't react like that. If you've got that end man on the line of scrimmage, you've got to get off the ball and get a hand on him, allowing your back to hit the hole. But if you go inside out, you're going to be too slow to make the block.
Miami will go with a 3-receiver look. Raiders will counter with a nickel defense on a 3rd and 5 from the 9. And the Dolphins will take a timeout. Clock stops with 4:22 left in the first. Miami hoping to get on the board first. Like 4:21 left in the first. Dolphins and Raiders, no score. Chat live with Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino this Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on America Online at keyword Team NFL and on the web at www.nfl.com. On a 3rd and 5 from the 9. Lamar Thomas and Bernie Parmalee have checked in for the Dolphins. Out of the shotgun, Marino in some trouble. Marino avoids the rush. On the toss for Parmalee. And he comes up short of a first down. Dropped by Terry Wooden.
Terry Wooden with the tackle. Pressure on the quarterback.
And the Dolphins field goal unit will come on to the field.
And this play is short of a first down, but the tremendous job by Dan Marino of avoiding the rush. He's not very fast, but he knows how to work the pocket, and he's probably the best in the NFL of maneuvering out of that pocket. And that quick release of his gets him out of so many jams. Here he's going to spin to the outside and just flick the ball out there for the reception. You can't ask anything more than that from Dan Marino on that play.
Olindo Mare on for the field goal attempt, 25 yards. He's kicked 13 in a row. And you can make it 14 straight. Mare inching closer and closer to Garo Yepremian's club record. Miami strikes first. It's 3-0 Dolphins here. Miami with a 3-0 lead on Oakland here in the first quarter. 3:36 to play. Dan Marino still going strong after all these years.
And you gotta love Dan Marino. He's dressed like a lineman. A knee brace there. He wears a big boot down there for his ankle. And you look at this guy from the back on the field, and he looks like a lineman, an offensive defensive lineman out there, but he still gets the job done. And he's still one of the best in the league. His 16th year in the NFL, getting rid of that football in the quick release.
Rodney Williams, the rookie out of Arizona, suiting up for the first time in the NFL. Flags come down on Williams' return. Filling in for Desmond Howard. Brian Walker with the tackle on special teams.
Penalty flag on the field.
Let you know about the penalty flag in a moment. Not Hollis's fault on that interception. It was just great coverage by Zach Thomas, creating the pick for Madison.
Holding on the return team, number 55. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Penalty works against the Oakland Raiders. They will back it up and be pinned deep in their own end to start this drive when we return to Oakland after this. of a chilly day here in the Bay Area with Miami in front 3-0. Expecting a defensive game mostly today. Two of the better defensive units in the league. Miami ranked number 2, Oakland number 3. Hollis on the floater. Did it ever float over the head of Napoleon Kaufman, and incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up from the 8.
I think Jeff Hollis just threw that ball away. He saw those white jerseys from the Miami Dolphins around him and just floated that over his running back's head. There's been a change in this offensive line. Derek Graham was a starter coming in today, and he was replaced by Daryl Ashmore. And it's not because he's injured, it's because Tim Bowens is doing such a tremendous job of driving Derek Graham in the backfield on running downs. They had to make a change here. They just can't let that go on.
Tim Brown in motion. Kaufman in the backfield, and here come the Dolphins. Donald Hollis spun down right at the goal line. Robert Jones. What a free agent pickup he has turned out to be.
Not only that, I'm talking to Jimmy Johnson yesterday. He was telling us that he's the best free agent signing in the entire National Football League this year. And here he times the play perfectly with the snap count, and no one touches him. And that's the key for linebackers when they blitz up the middle. If they can time it and get offensive linemen engaged on down people and get in the backfield, they're going to get a sack. And that's exactly what Robert Jones did on that play.
Former Cowboy, former Ram. And what a bargain at $375,000 this year. On 3rd and 17, Hollis forced to put it up, intercepted into the end zone for a touchdown. Zach Thomas. You talk about bang, bang.
And Zach Thomas being in the right place in great coverage, but the pressure of the defensive front of the Miami Dolphins got there. Daniel Stubbs and Trace Armstrong, it's their nickel package. They call it the Cobra. They put fresh rushers in there. They got into Donald Hollis's face, and he threw this ball when he wasn't set to throw the ball, and he had to throw it a little earlier than he wanted to. He's scrambling out of the pocket there. Somebody right in his face at the last instant, and that's a play that you've got to throw the ball away, and that's Daniel Stubbs, the aging veteran for the Miami Dolphins.
2nd touchdown of the season for Thomas off of an interception. The 3rd time he's done it in his career. It's rare that you see that kind of play. Makes the pick at the 1 and just walks in untouched. 10-0 Miami in front. 2:50 to play in the first. Flying start here in the first. 10-0. They lead it with 2:50 to play in the first quarter. Alindo Mare to kick it off. A couple of Donald Hollis interceptions leading to the score that you see on the board. Rodney Williams waiting. Catches at the 8. Williams a shake and bake. He fumbles the football. Fumbling the football on the sideline. And the Dolphins claim they've got it. And they do. Dwight Hollier, the veteran. Bernie Parmalee also involved. It was Hollier picking it up.
And this is what happens when you've got a rookie that hasn't played in the NFL. It's his first time playing, his first day returning kicks, and he's had problems today. Doesn't get any help from the guys up front in the wedge. Look at the white jersey sliced in there, getting their hand right on the ball and knocking it out. That's O.J. Brigance knocking the ball out, but the recovery was made by Larry Izzo on the sidelines for the Miami Dolphins. But when you've got rookies in there, that's when it creates problems.
So Dwight Hollier coming up with it on the sideline. And the Dolphins with tremendous field position with a 1st and 10 at the 22. Larry Izzo is being helped off the field. Izzo, a special teams ace. Missed the entire 1997 season with a torn left Achilles tendon. So the Dolphins opportunistic so far here this afternoon. 2 interceptions. And now a recovery off a fumble on the kick return from the rookie Rodney Williams. And we mentioned to you earlier, Williams filling in for Desmond Howard, who has the neck injury. And for the first time in his career, he put on the silver and black in a regular season game. Inauspicious start for the Raiders. 10-0 Miami in front, looking for more. On the give, Abdul-Jabbar is met at the 20-yard line by Terry Wooden. Russell Maryland over there as well. And they'll spot the football just shy of the 19, a 2.5-yard gain.
That's Russell Maryland. He's an ex-Jimmy Johnson pick, first pick in the draft of the Dallas Cowboys. We're getting great play out of both linebacker and both defensive front play out of Miami and out of the Oakland Raiders.
Call it 2nd and 7. Abdul-Jabbar in the backfield. Marino, timing pattern, and the timing was off. O.J. McDuffie on the sideline, the intended receiver.
And Danny Marino expected that O.J. McDuffie was going to run a fade and run by the defender of Charles Woodson, and he couldn't get by him. He just stopped in the pattern. And here's the key matchup of the day. There's Charles Woodson, the rookie. He's doing a tremendous job this year as a rookie. O.J. McDuffie just couldn't get by him. Woodson got his hands on him up front, and he couldn't get around him.
On a 3rd and 7. Just under 2 minutes left in the first. Go with a full receiver look. Running Pomerly going to the outside. Marino out of the gun. Over the middle. Able to make the connection to Oronde Gadsden, staying on his feet. Lunging towards the end zone. Dolphins want a touchdown, and they give it to them. What an individual effort by Gadsden. Touchdown, Miami.
And it's just a simple underneath crossing pattern. Everyone went deep, and they cleared it out for Oronde Gadsden. Comes across the middle of the field, and Dan Marino just dumps the ball to him. But a great move by Oronde Gadsden of hitting the corner and lunging in for the touchdown.
John Gruden does not know what hit him. Miami, an extra point away from taking a 17-0 lead here in the first. Hope you didn't blink, because they've been coming fast and furious. Mare tacks it on, and the Dolphins in front, 17-0 with 1:46 to play in the first.
They've been hitting on all cylinders offensively.
Injury update: Larry Izzo banged up right knee. His return is doubtful. Off the kick from Mare. Williams will get another opportunity, and Rodney Williams able to advance the football to the 29-yard line, a 20-yard return. Time now for an NFL Today report as we head to New York, and Jim Nantz.
Go back to Ian.
Dolphins in particular trying to stay tied with the Jets in the showdown next week down in South Florida. Dolphins and Jets on first down. Incomplete. He was Kaufman in the backfield. It's Kaufman. Tried that spin move to no avail, and the Dolphins were prepared up the middle. Terry Mickens is checked in as the 3rd receiver for Oakland. Hollis under pressure. He got it on the hands of Tim Brown, but incomplete. Zach Thomas applying that pressure straight up the gut.
And guess
a punt from Leo Araguz sends McDuffie off to the sideline. Was he out of bounds? There was a pause for a moment. I think McDuffie felt he was out of bounds. After the 51-yard punt from Araguz, he was able to come back and gain a couple of yards on the return. We got a 17-0 lead with 42 seconds to play in the opening quarter. Marino off of play action. Able to dump it off. John Avery brings it in. Terry Wooden making the tackle on first down of the first quarter. End of one from Oakland. Miami 17, Raiders nothing. Oakland as the Dolphins open up the second quarter with a 2nd and 6 from the 27. On the handoff, Avery. John Avery moving the feet and advancing ahead across the 30-yard line. The MetLife Blimp, Snoopy 2, has teamed up with CBS Sports to provide you with an aerial view of today's game featuring the Dolphins and Raiders. The MetLife Blimp typically cruises at a speed of 35 miles per hour and an altitude of 1,200 feet, and we're happy to have them on hand here in Oakland today. Miami with a 3rd and 1 from the 32. Pritchett, the fullback, is in the backfield. 3-receiver look. Pritchett gets the call. Trying to power his way ahead, and he's not going to have the first down. Greg Biekert, Darrell Russell involved in the stop. And the Raiders defense coming up with a play. Just trying to get some momentum going as they trail on the scoreboard 17-0.
Well, they're going to rely on their defense to get that momentum going, but offensively for Miami, if you want to be a tough, hard-nosed, physical, running football team, you've got to make those 3rd and 1s. That's where Jimmy Johnson's had problems with this offense. They haven't been productive in short yardage.
Tim Brown filling in for Howard. Wilmsmeyer, a high punt. Brown, fair catch signal is made, and he brings it in at the 21. Raiders, they have the early lead. Raiders looking for some kind of rhythm offensively, and it's not going to happen on 1st down. Hollis's pass was deflected and incomplete.
He got rocked on that play by Lorenzo Bromell, the rookie. Came off the edge and did a great job of getting in his face, but that's what Miami likes to do. They like to always have someone on the quarterback in his face or putting him on the turf on every pass play. Does a good job of getting around Mo Collins on the outside and getting him down Hollis's mustache.
Jimmy Johnson talked about the mobility of Donald Hollis. Hasn't really had an opportunity to use it thus far. Miami's done a good job defensively. On the give for Kaufman. Able to get to the 21-yard line. Derek Rogers making the stop. Virtually no gain on 2nd down. Setting up a 3rd and long for Oakland. Dolphins have been a spirited group, taking the crowd out of it early. And this crowd was vocal in the 1st quarter. They just haven't had much to cheer about. 3rd and 10. Hollis, good protection. Now it's crumbling. Trace Armstrong among the Dolphins to get into the backfield. And Donald Hollis dropped for the sack.
And Trace.
So some pressure now on Leo Aragus. Trying to create some space on the field for the Oakland defense to work with. Sending McDuffie deep. McDuffie tries the spin. And the pitch. Terrell Buckley. And the Dolphins get some bonus yards out of it following the 54-yard punt. Dolphins will have it at around their own 45-yard line. 7 just making them competitive, but are they a playoff team? So far, they're not showing it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a big 44-yard run in the 1st quarter as Terry Wooden along with Grady Jackson were there to greet him on that 1st down scamper.
And Oakland does a good job of keeping those defensive tackles fresh. They rotate Grady Jackson, Russell Maryland, Darrell Russell in there. They rotate them on schemes and downs, and they get them in there 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down. And those guys stay fresh where they can get a lot of penetration and chase plays down.
Abdul-Jabbar, close to 900 yards rushing on the season. Poised to go over 1,000 like he did his rookie campaign. Off of play action, Marino. Abdul-Jabbar, long strides into Oakland territory on the dump out to the flat. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar making something happen after the catch.
And a nice job by Dan Marino. All the black jerseys in the middle there.
37. 126 total yards to 4 for Oakland. Abdul-Jabbar tried to cut it to the outside. Greg Biekert was the first man to get there after a pickup of a couple on 1st down.
Jimmy Johnson's got to be happy with the way his offense is performing. They capitalize on turnovers of the Oakland Raiders, but they're moving the ball in the air and on the ground, and he wants to get that balance. He'd like to run the ball 35 times and pass the ball at least 30 times or less, but he knows if he's running the ball 30 to 35 times, they've got a pretty good chance of winning the game.
Johnson's defense, though, has answered the call week after week. They lead the NFL with 2 shutouts this season. On 2nd and 8. They'll try the reversal to O.J. McDuffie. On the fake handoff, McDuffie came across, and James Harris was able to read the play, bringing up 3rd and long.
Nice job on James Harris on that play, but Terry Wooden got penetration and kept contained outside and forced O.J. McDuffie back into the teeth of the defense, where the rest of his teammates can surround him and bring him down for a short gain.
On a 3rd and 6. Bernie Parmalee has checked in, as has Nate Jacquet, second-year player out of San Diego State. Marino out of the shotgun, quick toss, O.J. McDuffie getting across the 30-yard line and short of a first down. Greg Beekert making the tackle for Oakland. Will be a 47-yard attempt. Mara. No good. And the streak is over. Oakland avoids going into a deeper hole, and they still trail 17-0. At the end.
Protection, and the wide receivers just have to catch the ball.
Kaufman and Ritchie are split on the backfield as Brown goes in motion on a 1st and 10 from the 37. Quick toss to the fullback, Ritchie. Rookie out of Stanford brings it in, and that 7 consecutive incompletion streak comes to an end for Hollis. On cue.
He's had a tough afternoon, and Zach Thomas on the last play was in his face with a blitz, and they're just not letting up on him. And he's had a tough time. He's been sacked a couple times, been hurried. He can't sit in the pocket and look downfield. Someone's always in his face.
Pick up of 4 on first down, 2nd and 6 from the 41. Pickens checks in as the 3rd receiver for the Raiders. On the draw play, Kaufman. Napoleon Kaufman has some room. Into Miami territory and brought down at the 47-yard line. An 11-yard gain. Calvin Jackson and Zach Thomas combining on the tackle.
That's a sweet move by Napoleon Kaufman of just avoiding the defense. Here it's a simple draw. You let the offensive lineman push the defenders out of the way and let them get a little penetration, but Napoleon Kaufman runs through the tacklers and makes a move on Zach Thomas, but Zach Thomas, you can't fool him. He's always going to be there to make a play. He's got to be the all-star of this game so far. The plays he's made early in this game, chasing people down, and you got to love the way he plays. He never comes off the field.
And of course the interception return for a touchdown, but not much of a return. It was 1 yard.
For Zach Thomas, that was a pretty good return.
Napoleon Kaufman getting the carry up the middle.
Napoleon Kaufman, the ball carrier. Tackled by Kenny Mixon.
Pickup of a yard, maybe a yard and a half, as Kenny Mixon made the tackle. Call it 2nd and 7.5.
They need more production out of Napoleon Kaufman. They've got to get the ball in his hands more, but he needs to break more plays as he did on the play 2 plays ago and get him in the open field where he can make some moves and pick up some yardage.
Hollis straight back. He's under heat and in big trouble. Zach Thomas led the charge. And the play was whistled dead before Hollis was even dropped to the turf.
They need to put somebody on Zach Thomas because he comes free almost every play. When you've got a middle linebacker that's blitzing, somebody's got to pick him up. Either the center, which is uncovered here, or a back, and nobody picks up Zach Thomas. All they're running is a T-Mac stunt where the tackle goes inside, Zach Thomas comes outside of him, but no one picks up the stunt.
Thomas slowed him down. Derek Rogers then jumped in and will be given credit for the sack, maybe a half a sack. Hollis on 3rd and 15. Floating one in the air, and it's brought in. Tim Brown. He caught it right at the first down marker, then was pushed behind the marker. We'll see where they spot the football. Patrick Surtain making the tackle on Brown. Had to get across the 38-yard line. We'll get a measurement.
And that's John Gruden hoping something develops from his offense. And a big play like this with when you need it, and you got to go to Tim Brown to get the first down. And you go to a veteran like Tim Brown, he knows where that first down mark.
Just need to get a long drive going for themselves offensively. He's going to throw it. Harvey Williams puts it in the air. Brown was there on the sideline. Complete. A little chicanery from John Gruden and company. A 27-yard pass play. Harvey Williams, the 8-year veteran, able to get it upstairs for the fellow veteran Tim Brown.
Well, the first key to this play is Harvey Williams is in the game on first down. You should have smelled a rat, the Miami defense, and figured something was going on. But the second part of Harvey Williams has done this in the past, so they should know in the back of their mind that he's done this in the past, so be prepared for it.
Flags come down on first down.
False start. 22 of the offense. 5 yards, still first down.
And Williams called for the false start.
I think he's still excited after that pass play, but Tim Brown, he runs an out pattern, and he's chasing the ball down. The ball's in the air. He's just finding a way to get to it, and he brings the ball in just before he goes out of bounds, but that's great concentration, and the tippy toes of the feet just at the sideline. Tim Brown, that's why he's been a perennial Pro Bowler.
Tell you what, I don't know if that ball was caught inbounds or not. Hollis gunning for the end zone, had a man open, and it was Brown on the post pattern. Incomplete.
And you're not going to find your receiver in the red area as open as Tim Brown was. Made a great move on the outside. He's exactly wide open. It's a simple post pattern here. He's got to make his move, plant, and go upfield, and he's clear. He's clean. There's nobody around him. You've got Brock Ray drifting back with no one covering him. He's wide open. That's a touchdown. That's one you'd like to have back every time. Donald Hollis got exactly what he wanted, got good protection, got his wide receiver wide open, and all you've got to do is just drop that ball in there.
Overshot Brown. Now he is crunched. Sam Madison on a corner blitz. 4th sack of the day for this Miami defense. Donald Hollis did not hear the footsteps from the backside.
And it's like hungry wolves going after fresh meat. Now, not only did Sam Madison get there for the sack, but there are 2 or 3 white jerseys around besides him. If he doesn't get the sack, they get the sack. And Donald Hollis has to realize, once you get down in that 20-yard area, this Miami Dolphins team will go after you and try to make you make a bad play. And here, no one touches Sam Madison. But look at the white jerseys around Donald Hollis. He never had a chance on that play.
The 30th time this season that Hollis has been sacked. And the Raiders moving in the wrong direction. Hollis fires through the arms of Tim Brown, incomplete. Sam Madison, that name again, in on the play. And Brown was looking for the yellow flag.
And talking to Jimmy Johnson, he said that Sam Madison has had as good a year as any quarterback he's been around in the National Football League, and that says a lot because he's been around a lot of good cornerbacks. And he's just playing at such a high level right now, breaking on the ball, tipping balls away, covering wide receivers, the best ones that the offense has put in front of him. He's always around the play.
Raiders looking for their first points of the afternoon. Greg Davis missed a 48-yard field goal in the first. This one is from 40 yards away. And it's good. Oakland finally has some points to show for themselves. It's 17-3 Miami in the second. And now Leo Aragus will kick off for the Raiders. John Avery and Brock Marion are deep. Avery averaging over 25 yards a return. Avery bouncing off a would-be tackler and then dropped at the 27-yard line by Kenny Shedd. A 22-yard return for the rookie. Monday on CBS. If you're tired of laughing at your own, beautiful look at the Bay Area on a crisp Sunday afternoon. We get to the month of December, and obviously all football fans thinking about the postseason. Injury on the field as we try to get a look at who the banged-up Oakland Raider player is following the return from Avery. Mike Morton, backup linebacker. You can see through the glass. Watching closely. Crunch time for the Raiders. They're 7-5, back-to-back losses. Disappointing 29-19 defeat at the hands of the Washington Redskins a week ago here in Oakland. And the remaining schedule at Buffalo, at San Diego, and home for Kansas City as the Raiders try to qualify for the playoffs for the first time since '93.
Well, they've got a hard road to go, but they've got to win this game to start off with the right way. The game last week against Washington really hurt this team. That was a game that they knew. That's when you pencil in on the schedule saying it's a W for us.
1st and 10 for Miami from the 27. Avery. The Raiders getting into the backfield. Greg Biekert and Darrell Russell. Biekert got there first, and then Russell finished him off for a loss on the play.
And Willie Shaw, the defensive coordinator for the Oakland Raiders, he's got it in his mind now. He's just going to attack the Miami Dolphins. They've got to create havoc. They've got to come up with a big play. So let's start blitzing and let's start zone blitzing here and putting pressure on Dan Marino, but getting penetration in the backfield with the blitz to disrupt the run.
What a great job Willie Shaw has done. They were ranked dead last in the NFL in team defense a year ago. He comes over from New Orleans, and it's like a completely different unit. 2nd and 14. Across the middle. Able to make the connection to Stanley Pritchett. The fullback, Terry Wooden, with a tackle on Pritchett. As they got back some of the yardage that they lost on first down, setting up 3rd and long for Miami.
And you talk about Willie Shaw, and possibly a lot of head coaching jobs could come up this year in the NFL. And he's got to be on the top of a lot of short lists in the NFL just by the one-year job he's done here. But not only that, what he's done in the past of his career. He's always been successful wherever he's done and always helped turn programs around.
These defensive players from Oakland have tremendous amount of respect for him as an individual and as a coach. On 3rd and 7, Marino, fleet of foot, able to dump it off. Parmalee lost the football. Raiders were fighting for it. Lance Johnstone was trying to take it away. Bernie Parmalee was heads up to get it back. And it's parallel to the first down marker.
That was a lucky bounce by Bernie Parmalee because that ball was out of there and it came right back into his hands. Dan Marino's out there yelling vehemently saying he was already down, but that was a fumble. That ball was clearly out of there. It's a good job by Parmalee of staying with the ball, even though it gets knocked out from your hands, but concentrating on it. Dan Marino doing a great job of sliding up in the pocket, but there it is. The ball's out, but it goes right back into his hands.
And it keeps the drive alive. Enough for the first down. Dolphins for the 1st and 10. From the 39. 3.5 to play first half. Aver trying to cut to the outside. The Raiders are ready. Aver with that second burst. Able to avoid a big loss on the play as he was forced out of bounds. Darrell Russell helping on the chase. And Oakland just stacking up the line of scrimmage, challenging Miami to run on them because they're ready on every down.
Where they're coming with those 7- and 8-man fronts and forcing Miami into running laterally. But the key to that play was Russell Maryland on the defensive front. He got penetration in the backfield, and John Avery had to take that ball all the way across to the sidelines. And without Russell Maryland getting penetration, he's taking that ball straight down the field.
Loss on first down, 2nd and 11. Marino guns. Incomplete. McDuffie was the target. Charles Woodson got a piece.
And it's tough to throw against Charles Woodson. Take the rookie moniker off Charles, just throw that out the window. He's not a rookie anymore. I mean, he's already played a college season for a guy that's come out of college. He's in the NFL now. He's not just a rookie anymore.
Albert Lewis, the longtime NFL veteran, told us a couple of days ago he's never met anyone like Charles Woodson, a man that just does not feel pressure.
And that's what you have to have at the cornerback position. Is you can't worry about a bad play, just come out the next play and perform, and don't worry about it. There's no such thing as pressure as a cornerback in the NFL. Some
movement, flags come down. They whistle the play dead as Marino uncorked the pass deep. Lance Johnstone may have dipped over.
Prior to the snap, offsides on the defense, number 51, unabated to the quarterback. Still 3rd down.
And that is Johnstone, who has made a major impact on this Oakland defense this season, leading the team with 11 sacks.
And I think it's the way that Willie Shaw's utilized his talent this year. In the past, they just line him up, and offenses can put a tight end over him and beat him down because he's only 245 pounds. But now they move him around, and they use his best assets and get him to rush the passer. Don't let him sit in front of a tight end, and the offense has a tough time finding him.
But Miami has allowed just 16 sacks on the season, 3rd fewest total in the NFL. A wobbly pass, and it went through the hands of Bernie Parmalee. Incomplete.
Ryan, going back to Miami not giving up a lot of sacks, has a lot to do with Dan Marino.
Sure.
I mean, this is a piecemeal offensive line where you've got 3 guys that aren't even starters that shouldn't be on this offensive line today because injuries to the start.
Well, you'd figure with a 3-step drop, quick passes from Marino, you avoid the sack. He might get hit because the line can't contain the defenders getting into the backfield, but he'll get rid of the pass first.
And he's got that magnificent release, and he's always had that, and that's been the Dan Marino trademark.
So the Raiders will get the football before we reach halftime. Wilmsmeyer on the punt. Tim Brown from the 9. Brown able to stretch across the 15-yard line to the 16. And that's where the Raiders will have it at the 2:44 mark of the second quarter. Right now, let's take a look at the CBS Sports Line question of the week. Who is the most feared pass rusher in the game today? Kevin Green, Bruce Smith, or Reggie White? Log on to vote at cbs.sportsline.com and on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline. Your vote.
I'll tell you what, I played against all those guys, and they're all pretty good.
You got to give us one.
I can narrow it down. Bruce Smith and Reggie White, I still have nightmares about.
I'm going to give us Reggie Smith combined with intercepted. Robert Jones goes in for the touchdown. Is this Miami defense cooking or what?
And the Boo Birds come out, and I'll tell you what, the pressure put on by this Miami defense, they've been on Donald Hollis the entire football game, but the way that they get in their zones where they're supposed to be in their coverage schemes and be in the spots that they need to be to come up with the big plays, and here they drop off, but you get a little pressure inside. He's trying to dump the ball off in the screen, and when quarterbacks do that, they can't just turn and throw the ball. They have to turn and look and make sure the other colored jersey, the defense, isn't in that area where you're going to drop it off to the running back in the screen, and he just didn't look. He just turned and threw the ball.
What a pleasant surprise Robert Jones has been this season for Jimmy Johnson and company. First career touchdown for the 7-year veteran out of East Carolina. And a big smile on his face as the Dolphins extend their lead. It's now 24-3. Second interception that's come back for a score here today. Zach Thomas had the first. Jones has just put another touchdown on the board, and a long first half for Donald Hollis.
What those linebackers for the Miami Dolphins are doing on the sidelines, they're laughing at each other because they both got interception returns for the touchdown. And, you know, that's a key guy right there that they need. They need a Jeff George. And not only Jeff George, they need a healthy Jeff George for this Oakland Raider team to survive.
Jeff George on his radio show earlier this week on the local sports radio station basically came out and said, I'm out for the season. Highly unlikely that I'm coming back for the final 4 games. Well, he did it on the air before he happened to tell his head coach John Gruden about it.
Or his teammates.
Or his teammates for that matter. Gruden, after talking to him a couple of days ago, said, hey, I think that was frustration from Jeff George because he hasn't been able to get healthy, and we're still keeping hope alive that he'll be able to suit up for us at some point in the final month of the season. So George this week has gotten a lot of static from the local media, being called a quitter.
That's putting it mildly. He's gotten blistered by the local media. And I think it's deserved because you don't come out and say that I just can't play for the rest of the year, because your teammates sit back and say, well, what's the problem here? Is he healthy, or can he play or can he play?
A number of columnists and talk radio hosts basically coming out and saying they should get rid of Jeff George. Just pay him the $5 million buyout on his contract, take the $3 million hit next season on the salary cap, and make a change at quarterback. Hollis nearly had another one picked off. If Jones was paying attention, he would have had back-to-back interceptions. Instead, he went for the body of John Ritchie, and it banged off of Robert Jones for the incompletion.
And this is fun time for the Dolphins because they know that the Raiders have to throw the ball, so they're going to attack them with the guys up front on the defensive front line. But that's great coverage by Robert Jones, and he's got the speed. He's a guy that, you know, he's been the key to this defense this year. When they brought him in free agency, they thought they had a decent linebacker, but now they got a great linebacker. It was a steal.
On 2nd and 10, Hollis throwing and complete. Lots of room to work with. Terry Mickens. Mickens remaining on his feet. And finally spun out of bounds. Some extracurricular activity following the play with Jerry Wilson A 30-yard hookup as Mickens makes his 18th catch of the season.
And that's a nice run by Terry Mickens. They need a big play. Comes across the middle, Hollis fires the ball right across the middle of the field. Then he turns it up. But here's the good thing about it. He doesn't go down. He tries to make something happen. And the Miami Dolphins are trying to go for the ball, but Mickens is not going to be brought down with an arm tackle. He stays on his feet and keeps running.
On a 1st and 10, football spotted at the 49. Harvey Williams able to move ahead to the 45-yard line, and a pickup of number of teams still alive for that wild card berth. Oakland gradually falling out of the race. Hopped up in the air, almost picked off. Tim Brown, it had come off his hands. Brock Marion was in the vicinity as it fell down to the turf.
And the defensive front for Miami, they're not even respecting the run. They're just going right after the quarterback with the heels pinned back. But here's a ball thrown behind Tim Brown, and he never had a chance for that ball. And that's because of the pressure of the front four getting to quarterback Donald Hollis.
Raiders now facing a 3rd and 4 and rather ugly numbers. 4 for 16. 3 interceptions. 2 of them have come back for scores. Here come Miami on the blitz, and Hollis didn't have a chance. Trace Armstrong firing in. Jerry Wilson helping out. And the 5th sack of the day for the Miami defense. And Hollis in familiar territory, lying on the ground.
And Donald Hollis has to be aware of this. Whenever he sees the safety deep and the corners start creeping up right here, that's the problem. You know it's a blitz. They just flood the outside with a blitz, and people just come from all different angles on the outside. Donald Hollis doesn't have a chance to even set back in the pocket.
A timeout called with 1:44 to play. It'll take a bounce. That's McDuffie as he crossed the 15-yard line. Standing at his own 25. Aragus averaging over 43 yards a punt. Line drive. Buckley came up to get it at the 35. Buckley with some room. Terrell Buckley putting his team in position to possibly put more points on the board before remaining in the 2nd quarter. Lamar Thomas, the intended receiver, on the sideline, incomplete. Coming up, the NASDAQ Amex. Such a pivotal game of the wild card standings. And the Raiders have shown very little here in the 1st half of action. Play clock winding down, and Marino is forced to take a timeout. So we'll step aside with 1:15 to play. 1st half, it's 24-3 Miami. Currently with a big lead with 1:15 left in the 2nd quarter. They're in front by 3 touchdowns as flags come down. Aronde Gadsden.
5 yards, still 2nd down.
So the 1st-year pro called on the false start.
And right here when you're lined,
Gadsden will line up, same position. But now it's a 2nd and 15. Shotgun, Marino. McDuffie, the open man. And forced out of bounds with 1:10 left. To the locker room, hoping that they trail by only 3 touchdowns. It's 24-3. Shotgun formation, Marino flushed out of the pocket, throwing on the run. That is not Dan Marino at his best. Incomplete.
no, but that's Dan Marino being protections.
Wilmsmeyer. Tim Brown moving over, and Wilmsmeyer placing it perfectly inside the 10-yard line as Nate Jacquet actually looked like the man making the 100 feet. Inside handoff, Ritchie. John Ritchie, the fullback, getting the call on 1st down. Brian Walker making
trying to run the ball, trying to get something going for this offense before they go into halftime, at least running with the football.
Could be the final play of the first half. And the Raiders avoid disaster as Ritchie couldn't hold on to it.
The first time ever.
3rd and 8. Time running out. Harvey Williams.
The ball carrier.
Able to give Oakland the first down as he crossed the 25-yard line. 8 seconds now left on the clock. Seconds left on the clock. Again, it's Harvey Williams. Tumbles down at the 40-yard line. And still some time remaining on the clock.
Timeout. Oakland.
Understand what John Gruden's trying to get out of calling timeouts when you're inside your own 40.
Final seconds. Should be the final play. Hollis throwing across the middle. And the catch made by Kenny Shedd at the 40-yard line as the first half comes to an end. 1 week from today, down in South Florida, the Dolphins and the Jets. But first, the Dolphins still have another half of football against the Oakland Raiders. Mare opens up with a touchback as Rodney Williams takes a knee. Look at the halftime numbers. Really not that shocking in terms of total yards, 153 to 125, but Mark, as you talked about, the turnovers and what Miami did off of those turnovers.
And that's key. And Jimmy Johnson always harps on, let's not turn the ball over and create turnovers defensively. And that's exactly what the Dolphins were able to do in the first half.
Nightmarish first half for Donald Hollis. He comes out throwing on first down to Tim Brown. Short of a first down, but Brown gets 9 on the first play from scrimmage here in the second half. Brock Marion and Derek Rogers collaborating on the stop.
I think that's the way that the Oakland Raiders offense has to attack this Miami defense. Quick slants, get the ball out on 3 to 5 step drops. Don't let Donald Hollis wait in the pocket where he has to make a decision to go downfield with the ball.
Raiders came out very flat against Washington last week. It led to some halftime arguments and critical comments from teammates. As Ritchie gets the first down, Charles Woodson was very vocal about the fact that the team did not do the job a week ago. Apparently Kenny Shedd and Desmond Howard got into it at halftime. We asked John Gruden about it. He said, oh, he didn't even know about it. He was in another room with assistant coaches trying to game plan the second half against Washington, and he felt it was blown out of proportion here in the local media. Things like that do happen, though, over the course of a long season.
Well, they do, and that's going to happen 3 or 4 times during the course of the season, but you don't want it to happen at halftime in a game, particularly a game you're supposed to win at home.
Hollis guns, and complete. It's Brown. Forced to the sideline at the 47-yard line. Brock Marion, the tackle.
It's a nice route by Tim Brown, and they need a big play. They've got to go to Tim Brown, and you're going to see a lot of this the rest of the game. But Tim Brown just runs a crossing pattern and runs out towards the sidelines. Donald Hollis throwing the deep out. That's a nice job by Hollis throwing that ball for the first down.
Tim Brown, one of 3 receivers currently on the field for Oakland, as Kaufman gets the carry, tried the stutter step move up the middle to no avail. Zach Thomas was prepared for it, as was Robert Jones.
And it's tough to run the football between those 2 big defensive tackles of Tim Bowens and Daryl Gardner, because they're going to hold up the offensive line and keep the offensive linemen off the linebackers of Zach Thomas and let him run around and make plays.
No gain on first down. The Miami defense doing the job today, allowing 14 points per game on average this season. Hollis. Tim Brown took a lick, but he held on, and a flag down.
And to no avail. Mo Collins, the left tackle, had a stranglehold on defensive end Jason Taylor. Just had a bear hug on him. And you know, as an offensive line, when you're beat that bad right off the bat, you don't want your quarterback taking a clean lick. So sometimes you just take the penalty and grab the guy and throw him down. And on that play, Mo Collins just had a bear hug.
Holding. 79 offense. 10 yards. Repeat second down.
Oakland would have been into Miami territory, but the error by Mo Collins brings it back.
and Mo Collins. He'll get beat on the outside by Jason Taylor, and he'll just grab him. This is a wrestling move. He's beat to the outside. He'll just grab a hold and lock on and not let his quarterback take the hit.
Back it up to the 38. And 2nd and 20 for Oakland. Hollis stepping up. Hollis diving down to the turf as he crossed the 45. And they'll spot the football right around the 47-yard line. So a 9-yard run on 2nd down, but it will be 3rd and 11.
And that's one of the things that when we talked to Jimmy Johnson about last night, he's concerned with Donald Hollis is his mobility. He can take off and run and get positive yardage, but the defense does a good job of collapsing it and getting to Donald Hollis, letting him pick up some yards, but still short of the first down.
Jeff George, that groin injury still a problem. Lacked mobility last week in the game against Washington. Hollis airing it out to the sideline. Mickens with an attempt. Incomplete. Terry Mickens tried to jump up and over Terrell Buckley to come down with a football. Couldn't do it.
And that's one of those balls that quarterbacks are throwing a lot now. They're underthrowing the ball, letting the wide receiver come back and look for the ball and come back to the ball over the defender. And here Terry Mickens goes up for the catch, but to no avail. He's been covered tightly by Terrell Buckley.
One guy, though, has been doing it all season, and that's Randy Moss.
And he's been doing a great job at it. I mean, when you're 6'3" and can jump like that, he's got those long arms, and that's what's key to a wide receiver, those long, strong arms that can go up for jump balls.
He's told Randall Cunningham, just put it up there. I'll go and get it. Aragoose with a punt. Buckley brings it in at the 9, and a fair catch. We'll step aside early on in the 3rd, 24-3 Miami. The 24-3 lead, 11:29 to play in the 3rd quarter. Dolphins have their first possession of the 2nd half. Dan Marino played his first NFL game against the Raiders back in September of 1983. Came in relief in the 4th quarter and threw 2 touchdowns. On a handoff for Abdul-Jabbar. Able to elude one tackler, but the shoestring tackle made by Albert Lewis from behind. As the Raiders avoid more yardage being chewed up by Abdul-Jabbar. 8 rushes, 55 yards, and average just under 7 yards per carry.
Now they'll start pounding the ball to Miami Dolphins, and they'll still have the mix of running pass, but I believe Jimmy Johnson will run the ball a lot more in the 2nd half of this Miami Dolphins offensive line.
Ed Perry and Hendrick Lusk, the double tight end set. Abdul-Jabbar and Pritchett in the backfield. Marino couldn't handle the snap. Raiders able to get into the backfield. Oakland has come away with the football. Mishandled snap by Dan Marino. Darrell Russell coming in to scoop up the ball, fall on it. And a turnover as the Raiders just trying to find something to motivate this team.
I think that's a play that can do it. And here's something you don't expect. Danny Marino and his center Tim Ruddy not to have a clean offensive snap. Quarterback center quarterback exchange. There's the ball, and Dan Marino just never had a handle on it.
Ball spotted at the 10. It's a 1st and goal. Handoff Kaufman. Taking it inside the 10-yard line, but not much room to work with as he was trying to run in between the tackles. On the Oakland turnovers. Let's see if the Raiders can return the favor. On a 2nd and goal. Brown in motion. Hollis throwing. Pump fake. He's got Brown for the touchdown. A 7-yard pass play. Donald Hollis for Tim Brown. 5th touchdown reception of the season for Brown. And the 10th touchdown pass for Hollis.
And what really helped Donald Hollis, that pump fake right there, looking at the receiver in the corner of the end zone and then dumping the ball off to Tim Brown, really helped the execution of this play because it got the defense to think for a moment if he was going to throw the ball deep, but he knew exactly where he was going with the ball, and that was to Tim Brown.
Extra point from Greg Davis. The Oakland Raiders trying to come from behind. Raiders take advantage of the mishandled snap. And Oakland puts 7 on the board. It's 24-10. Miami with the lead. The Raiders show some signs of life. Nodding his approval. And the Raiders fans prepared to erupt if Oakland can continue the momentum here in the third quarter. It's 24-10. Miami with the lead. Aragoose kicks it off. John Avery will take it out. Avery gets to the sideline and forced out of bounds as he crossed the 30. James Trapp in pursuit. And Miami has the football following the 23-yard return from Avery. Napoleon Kaufman came in less than 100%. Kaufman had a right knee injury heading into the game. Flared up last week against Washington. And some question marks earlier in the week whether or not he'd be able to go full strength. Getting worked on the sidelines. 10 carries, 36 yards for Kaufman. Right now it's the Oakland defense put on the spot with a 1st and 10 for Miami at the 31. And this crowd is getting loud. Play action, Marino stepping forward and dumping it off for Abdul-Jabbar, who's quickly twirled down by Terry Wood. Terry Wooden in his first year, free agent signee, formerly of Seattle and Kansas City. First year with Oakland. Pickup of 3, a 2nd and 7 from the 34. On the give, Abdul-Jabbar trying to hit the hole. He does. Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is finally dragged down at the 25-yard line. Charles Woodson again brought down Abdul-Jabbar after a long run. He ripped off a 40-yarder.
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar doesn't get a lot of headlines, but he's steady. This guy's a real professional. He studies defenses, studies a lot of film work, and here he hits the ball right off his right tackle, James Brown. They get a good push, but they're getting that seam, that off-tackle push, where he can get behind the first line of defense, pass them, and take the ball down the sidelines, and that's a lot of hard running. Those are great yards to pick up from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Spot the football at the 26 on a 1st and 10. John Avery. Little stutter step move. Avery getting to the 25. Gain of a yard, maybe a yard and a half. Now an NFL Today report. We go to New York and Jim Nantz.
All right, Ian, check it out. Going in for the lead here. Denver hands off to Terrell Davis, and he fumbles at the 1. He had touched the football 476 times in a row without fumbling before that play, and now Kansas City has just scored on the touchdown pass, but to take the lead again. Let's go back to you.
So the Denver Broncos trying to remain undefeated. Kansas City, what a win that would be for them in a season that has been pretty much lost. Stanley Friction coming out of the backfield to make the catch. Marquise Walker spilling him out. He'll be given credit for the tackle. But 3rd down coming up, 3rd and 8.
And the way that the defense is playing at this point of the game, they need to stop the Dolphins right here. Really showing this defense, they've got to start to attack Danny Marino. It's tough to get to Danny Marino on the blitz because he'll find a way to throw the ball away, but they've got to disrupt his timing and come up with a big play.
3rd and 8. Bucky Brooks checks in as a 5th defensive back for Oakland. Marino in trouble, able to get it off. He avoided the sack, but an incomplete pass. Grady Jackson was there to wrap up Marino. And after the Abdul-Jabbar run, Miami unable to get anywhere closer to the goal line.
And Grady Jackson just gets penetration between the guard and center, and no one really touches him, and he puts pressure on Dan Marino. But that quick release from quarterback Dan Marino of getting rid of that ball, and that's how they avoid so many sacks. And when you get penetration on that line, you can't let a defender split you up front. Someone's got to face up those defensive linemen and an offensive lineman.
Murray, 43-yard attempt. The flag comes down. No good. We'll see what the marker means. Marino hoping it's against Oakland. It's not. The Raiders will turn it down.
Tripping on the kicking team, number 93. A penalty's declined. Kick is no good. First down.
So the Raiders defense does hold. And the score remains the same. 24-10. Miami in front. 6:50 to play in the third. Miami has the advantage with 6:50 to play in the third quarter. Oakland, though, may have the momentum. Let's see what they do offensively with this possession. Harvey Williams in the game as a running back. Hollis unloads deep. Madison went for the interception. It's ruled incomplete. He trapped it. Jimmy Johnson wanted the call.
Quarterback Donald Hollis got tattooed on that play right at the end of the play by a blitz out of the secondary. When it's a bang-bang play at the end, the quarterback just tries to get rid of the ball. He needs to step up in the pocket and avoid the rush. But good defensive play by Sam Madison of keeping his eye on the ball and cutting off the receiver, James Jett, from the football.
But once again, Miami applying that pressure on Hollis. 2nd and 10. Hollis stepping forward. Throwing across to the middle, and it's Tim Brown. First down, Oakland. Words exchanged following the play. And the football will be placed at the 47.
Nice job by Donald Hollis with hands in his face, defenders in his face, of getting rid of that ball in the middle of the football field. Good concentration by wide receiver Tim Brown of coming in with that kick.
It was Brown and Madison chirping once the whistle was blown. On the draw play, Harvey Williams, and he's stacked up. Robert Jones shifting over to make the stop. Right now, let's get an NFL Today report. It's Jim Nantz in New York.
And the Chiefs putting up some effort today. They led 21-7. Denver pulled even with them by halftime. But now Rich Gannon has fired the Chiefs back in front. Joe Horn with the catch. Chiefs lead, 1:53 to go. Third quarter. Back to you.
So it's Kansas City. No playoff games for them this season. That's their playoff game. On 2nd and 10. Throwing the deep ball. Picked off Terrell Buckley. Buckley on the return. He's got a lane. Buckley runs into a brick wall at midfield in the person of Lincoln Kennedy. But Hollis is intercepted once again. And the momentum we were discussing comes to a halt.
And the situation in this play is they get a blitz up front for the Miami Dolphins. The offensive line does an outstanding job of protecting the quarterback. Donald Hollis throws the ball deep. They're not on the same page, the wide receiver and quarterback, but Terrell Buckley, following the ball, comes down with the interception, and right there just gets engulfed by big Lincoln Kennedy and slammed to the ground.
Terrell Buckley, his 7th interception. Madison has 7 INTs, the best 1-2 punch at cornerback this season in the NFL as far as pickoffs are concerned. 1st and 10 from the 50. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is met by Lance Johnstone in the backfield, and a loss on the play.
Lance Johnstone doing a great job of penetrating and getting in the backfield, creating a new line of scrimmage, and coming off the edge and forcing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to take that ball in the middle, and the team in the defense, when there's no one there, Johnstone comes up with a big play.
Gruden calls Johnstone Flintstone, and Johnstone in return calls Gruden Barney Rubble. I think the blonde hair had something to do with it. 2nd and 13. Marino on a bootleg. Throw over the head of Oronde Gadsden. Gadsden was open. Marino couldn't get it to him. 3rd and long coming up for the Dolphins.
And that's a changeup for this offense. And offensive coordinator Kippy Brown's added is the bootleg for Dan Marino. You don't expect him to roll out of the pocket, but he does a good job of setting it up, of faking the ball to his running back and rolling out of the pocket, throwing the ball downfield. If he gets another step on that play, that's a completion. He just didn't get a chance because he was forced out of the pocket and forced to throw that ball by the rush of Darrell Russell.
And Kippy Brown replaced longtime offensive coordinator Gary Stevens, who's currently the quarterbacks coach for the Oakland Raiders. Play clock winding down. They get the snap off. Marino steps up on a 3rd and 13. Makes the connection to McDuffie. But he is short of a first down as he crossed the 45. Greg Beekert was there to make sure that McDuffie did not get to the marker.
It's a nice job by Willie Shaw's defense of giving Dan Marino an opportunity to throw the ball, but underneath, short of the first down. And this is what a defense wants to give you on 3rd and long. They'll give you anything in front of them, and they'll let you catch it, but they'll stop you short of the first down. And that's a solid job by the defense of stopping O.J. McDuffie short of the first down.
So the Dolphins will punt. Klaus Wilmsmeyer. And it's Tim Brown waiting for Oakland. Punt angles off towards the sideline and takes a Miami roll inside the 10 and all the way down to the 7. Miami with a 24-10 lead. Late stages of the 3rd. The Oakland Raiders season may be on the line here today. No, not mathematically. They'll still be in the playoff chase. But a loss here would make it 3 in a row. On the run, and the pass dropped. Terry Mickens was there. Donald Hollis put it in a place where Mickens could make the catch, but he couldn't hold on. No Napoleon Kaufman. He's been trying to walk it off on the sidelines. We saw him being worked on earlier in this quarter, so they've been going with Harvey Williams in the backfield. They need a spark. They trail by 2 touchdowns. Hollis straight back. Little dump off for Richard. Advancing ahead to the 14-yard line. See if they spot it at the 15. Robert Jones was the first man to get there. Pickup of about 7 on 2nd down, bringing up 3rd and short.
And what's so impressive about this Miami defense is the total team speed. There's never just one defender on the tackle. There's always 2, 3, and 4 defenders around the ball.
That's Jimmy Johnson, right?
Absolutely. He wanted speed, and Jimmy Johnson believes, hey, speed kills, and it does on both sides of the ball. If you've got speed, they've got to catch up to you.
On 3rd and 3 with 3 minutes to play in the 3rd. And a whistle stop play. A flag before Hollis could even drop back.
Delay of game on the defense, number 27, trying to simulate a draw false start. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That will keep the Oakland drive alive. The mistake made by Terrell Buckley.
And that's just a situation that costs your football team a little bit of showboat and a little bit of talking on the field and trying to draw the offense off sides. And that's not a smart play by the defense, and that just keeps this drive alive.
Hollis. He is swallowed. Miami felt that he lost the football. They'll have to tear off the pile to see. Jason Taylor laying out the hit. And the Oakland Raiders able to hold on to it.
Jimmy Johnson wants the ball. But the way this defense feeds, it's like a frenzy when they go after the quarterback. And I talked about the speed of the defense, and Jason Taylor's the first one there, but he gets help on the outside by Kenny Mixon, and they just go right after the quarterback. At the end of the play, Tim Bowen's throwing a shoulder in there, but Donald Hollis, it's almost like a jailbreak. As soon as he says he should throw the ball, but he doesn't get a chance because he feels the heat of the rush of Jason Taylor.
He has just gotten pummeled here today. On 2nd and 12, Hollis trying to run. There's just nothing there for it. Robert Jones chasing him down. This has been one long day for Donald Hollis. 4 interceptions. 2 have come back for scores. 7 sacks for the Miami defense. Man, oh man.
And this is one of those days you don't want to put in your scrapbook. You want to just forget about this day when it's over for Donald Hollis. And he needs help from the players around him. He's just not getting it.
Now a 3rd and 13. Raiders providing the protection for a moment. Now Hollis throwing on the run. He's got Jet. Flag down on the play. Jet was able to give Oakland first down yardage. But the marker now standing in the way for the Raiders. It's against Miami.
Illegal contact on the defense. That penalty's declined. First down.
Miami does have an injury following the play, and it's Jason Taylor, their talented defensive end. Taylor plays at 260 pounds, 6'6". There have been some questions about his size over the long haul, a 16-game schedule.
Not only that, Ian, and that was 260 pounds at the beginning of the season. And when we talked to him a couple weeks ago when we had him, I looked at you and I said, there's no way he's 260. He's like 245 at most. And that's the wear and tear of an NFL season on a young player, one, and on a player that's really just not built to carry 260, 70 pounds.
Most guys go the other way, though. Well, you know, you might be 310 and you claim to be 300.
And a lot of offensive linemen in the NFL, you see it's 299. Yeah, right. That's a biscuit away from 305. And then guys that are like 315, they're really 330, 340. And guys are just humongous these days. Some guys over 360.
Well, like you now. I mean,
that they go out and they look and they find their players that are injured out there, and they want to see how they're doing. In the old days when I played, coaches rarely came out on the field. And I blew my knee out. I looked around for Joe Gibbs. He was over there diagramming the play. He didn't care. But, you know, now they have the compassion when they want to find out about their star players and see how they're doing.
Maybe Joe just didn't like you in particular.
That's a possibility.
Hollis picked off again. Robert Jones. It's been that kind of day for Donald Hollis. 5th interception and the 2nd for Robert Jones.
And you see the frustration on his face, and here's a situation where he can't get anything going for this offense.
24-10, Miami has the lead, and the Raiders stay in the hole. Hollis intercepted again. Robert Jones has 2 interceptions in 1 game.
And Robert Jones just dropping back in the zone, reading the quarterback, Donald Hollis's eyes, and he tips the ball to himself. He gets his vertical on here, tips it up in the air, comes down with the interception.
Giving Miami a 1st and 10 from the 39. Running the sweep, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Picks up a few on 1st down. James Harris making the tackle along with Anthony Newman, who returned to the lineup for the first time in 3 weeks. Newman suffering from those dreaded toe and ankle injuries that can be nagging week after week, trying to shake them off. Counting down to the final minute of play in the 3rd quarter, and Miami is in control. Marino throwing the ball underneath the coverage. And Ed Perry making the catch, the tight end.
Marino's pass complete to Ed Perry.
Russell Maryland, after the play, is very slow to get up. As the clock is stopped with 48 seconds to play in the 3rd, Maryland goes to the sideline for at least a play. As Marino comes to the line of scrimmage, Maryland replaced by Grady Jackson. On 1st and 10 from the 29. Abdul-Jabbar inching closer to the 100-yard mark today as Lewis Riddick, a strong safety, making the tackle. And Maryland will return for Oakland on 2nd down.
And they need Russell Merrill in the lineup. He's had a very solid year. And all three of those tackles in the middle, and that's the start of their defense. Those two defensive tackles in the middle with Beekert in there, that's the key to their run defense, those three guys in the middle. And then you go to the cornerbacks on the outside, and that's where the focus of the defense begins.
And that is the end of the third quarter. Miami 24, Oakland 10. We'll come back to the Bay Area after this message and a word from your local station. Oakland, it's 24-10. The Dolphins have the lead. Miami looking to improve to 9-4 on the season. Raiders interaction at 7-5. Iron Eagle along with Mark May. The Raiders have had chances. They've come up empty though. Miami potentially looking for the knockout punch. Marino, quick toss across the middle to Ed Perry. That's not a three-step drop. That's one step and got it.
And that's a sign of a true veteran of Dan Marino, reading that blitz in front of him and getting rid of that ball, and just the concentration of Dan Marino. He sees Richard Harvey right in front of him, right in his face, but he's able to get that ball off, and not only get it off, complete it for some positive yards.
Miami now facing a 3rd and 4. A long 4 from the 23. Set up with a 4-receiver look. Marino able to get it to Parmalee. He lost the football, and they will spot it shy of the marker. Parmalee able to get it back. That's the second time he's dropped the football today.
And what's impressive about Dan Marino is his vision, the way that he can look around the field with his eyes and find that open receiver wherever it is, out of the backfield, from the sidelines, wherever he comes from, and the tight ends, the running backs, and the way that he's been able to disperse the ball in this offense is very impressive.
It's 4th and short. And Miami's going to go for it. First they'll do a measurement to see just how short it is. It's about a yard. Todd Doxson will check in. First-year quarterback out of Iowa State. He was in the Jets camp last season as a wide receiver. Didn't make the team. He's been valuable in this offense, running the football and giving them some options. Now Doxson will go to the sideline, and Marino will come back in. So Johnson and Kippy Brown thought better of it. The trusted arm of Dan Marino. On a 4th and 1. Dolphins 50% of the time have converted on 4th downs. One last gasp by this Oakland crowd. Slipping down, and he didn't get it. Abdul-Jabbar, he was chopped down by Greg Beekert. That play looked ugly from the beginning. Abdul-Jabbar didn't have his footing, and the Raiders respond.
And it's tough to go laterally in short yardage. You want to go straight ahead, and Abdul-Jabbar has to take this ball to the outside, and as soon as he goes laterally, he doesn't have a chance for the first down because Greg Beekert comes flying in to make the play. And just that play alone saves the Oakland Raiders. They're still in this game with a big play by the defense of holding the Miami Dolphins.
Miami turns it over on downs. And the Oakland Raiders trailing 24-10. They have the football. A 1st and 10 from their own 22. Brown's the motion man. Hollis, 5 interceptions on the day. Able to get it to the flat. Harvey Williams creating a bit. After the catch, Calvin Jackson missed an opportunity to bring him down as Buckley chased him out of bounds. A 9-yard pickup on 1st down. Oakland still alive, trailing by 2 touchdowns. A double tight end set. Dudley and Brown in there for the Raiders. Hollis, deep drop. Stepping up, he'll run for the 1st down. He's got enough. Baron Tanner chasing him down from behind. But a heads-up play by Hollis.
And that's Don Hollis looking downfield, not finding the open receiver, and smart enough to tuck that ball down and take off for the first down. That's one of the things that they're worried about with this defense, his ability to scramble and pick up positive yardage, and he picks up a first down for the Oakland offense.
Hollis is 4-1 as a starter for Oakland, but he struggled over his last 4 games. Had 8 interceptions and 4 fumbles over the last 4. 5 turnovers today for Hollis. Will put it in the air on the pump fake. Hollis taking too much time, and Jason Taylor was more than happy to bring him down. 8th sack of the day for this Miami defense, giving them 43 on the season.
And that's just incredible, the way they've been able to get after the quarterback this afternoon. Donald Hollis should know when you're taking a deep drop, if your first receiver is in there, get to the second one. If he's not there, get rid of the ball, because Miami will come after you. And he should know it. He's been dumped enough and knocked on the turf today. He should know to get rid of that ball if that first or second receiver isn't open automatically.
Rodney Williams checks in for Oakland on a 2nd and 16, the rookie. Hollis trying to run again, and he's dragged down. Lorenzo Bromell. This Miami defense sensing that the Oakland Raiders, with a chance to get back into it, are having none of it on this drive.
And the speed of the defense, particularly the defensive line rush of going towards the quarterback, and then when he flushes himself out of the quarterback, running him down, and the speed of the front guys, Lorenzo Bromell, Jason Taylor, you're not going to run away from these guys, because the way that they can track down a quarterback is very impressive.
Jimmy Johnson comparing Bromell to a man he once coached in Dallas, Leon Lett. On a 3rd and 14, big play. Hollis is intercepted. Zach Thomas. He didn't have to do anything on that play other than just let the ball float into his arms. 6th pick of the day for Donald Hollis, and the 2nd for Zach.
The linebackers of this Miami defense are the heart and soul of this defense. Zach Thomas just drops back in his zone, but he's looking at the eyes of quarterback Donald Hollis. It's just like a pitch drill. He throws it right into his hands, doesn't have to move for the interception.
So the Miami defense rises to the occasion again. Miami defense that ties a team record. 2 for Thomas, 2 for Jones. And then the interception machine, Sam Madison and Terrell Buckley, each have 1, giving them 7 apiece for the season. And Oakland, it looks like, will make a change at quarterback on their next possession. Marino on a cross, able to get it to Gadsden. Wade Wilson, 39 years old, has 1 completion all season. It just happened to be for a touchdown against San Diego of 60+ yards to James Jett, giving Oakland a victory, 7-6. And Wilson getting himself ready, and Hollis being put out of his misery. 6 picks.
Rough day for Donald Hollis.
After the 3-yard pass play, 2nd and 7. Abdul-Jabbar. Hello, Darrell Russell.
And John Bach, the offensive guard for the Miami Dolphins over Darrell Russell, has to get a hand on the defensive tackle, Darrell Russell. He goes right by him, barely touches him, knocks him sideways into the backfield. That's just powerful by Darrell Russell, getting into the backfield. But when you see that big body across from you, you've got to get your hands on him. I mean, you can't let him get in the backfield and disrupt the running game.
Russell is alone. Terrific quickness off the ball as he exhibited on that play. Now Miami with a 3rd and 12. Out of the gun, Marino, plenty of time. That ball was tipped. Incomplete. Pritchett and Parmalee were both in the area crossing. And Marino's pass falling down to the ground. So Miami, despite coming up with another interception, unable to move the football.
Dan Marino gets good protection up front, and all it takes is a finger to disrupt that pass, and that's what happened with the defense of getting their arms up when Dan Marino cocks his arm back, ready to throw that ball downfield.
Wilmsmeyer. Tim Brown forced to go towards the sideline. That is a great punt by Klaus Wilmsmeyer. Downed at the 1-yard line by Jerry Wilson. And a flag on the play. This one's coming back.
One thing about Wilmsmeyer today, he's had great control of the ball, dropping that ball inside the 10-yard line on numerous.
Of the kicking team, 10 yards, repeat 4th down.
Numerous times this game.
So Wilmsmeyer will have to do it again after the holding call.
It's just a takedown. I mean, I know that's not taught by Mike Westhoff, the special teams coach of the Miami Dolphins. And you have to face up a guy, get in front of him, and block him in the correct way, the way that you're taught, and the way that you're coached. But that's not being taught by the protection team of the Miami Dolphins.
Larry Izzo back in there after suffering a knee injury earlier today. Short punt. Tim Brown from the 20. Shake and bake. Gets him to the 28-yard line after the 32-yard punt. The Oakland Raiders are still in it. And now they'll rely upon the veteran, Wade Wilson.
There's MasterCard.
Back in Oakland, 24-10, Miami with the lead. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you are watching the NFL on CBS. Ian Eagle along with Mark May. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast and the Mountain Time Zone. Miraculously, Oakland is still alive. Wade Wilson comes in for the ineffective Donald Hollis. Wilson's first pass is incomplete. As mentioned earlier, 39-year-old Wade Wilson, playing for his 5th NFL team, told us earlier in the season he'd like to coach after this year. This is his final year in the NFL. He did come into the game against San Diego, and he led the Raiders to a victory with 1 completion. It happened to be a bomb to James Jett, and it gave Oakland a win when they needed it. Does he have any magic left in that right arm of his? His team trailing by 14. Incomplete. Dudley, the intended man. And Patrick Surtain, the rookie out of Southern Miss, 2nd-round pick, in on the coverage.
And a lot of times when a quarterback comes into a game in a situation like that, his timing's way off. He's not used to the speed of the game and the intensity of the game, and it takes a series or two to get him used to that. And you're going to see Wade Wilson throw the ball long. He knows he's got a long way to go, down 2 touchdowns in this game. And there's Gary Stevens, the offensive quarterback coach, and he knows that he's got to get this ball down the field vertically for them to have a chance.
Wilson has been in the NFL since 1981, originally a member of Minnesota. On 3rd and 10, Wilson, sideline deep, incomplete. Looking for Shed. Buckley was there. And the Raiders go 3 and out.
1981, that was a very good year, Ian.
Was it? I'm
very
trying to think
good year in the NFL. Matter of fact, that was my rookie year in the NFL.
So why is Wade Wilson still playing and you're up here with me?
Because he's a better athlete.
All right, just come right out with it.
I'm not going to pull any punches. It's true. As a quarterback or a kicker, you could play forever.
So if he's 39, that must make you...
Next play.
All right. 4th down. Aragoose punting to O.J. McDuffie. Forced to backpedal. Catches cleanly at the 16. McDuffie. Brought down at the 35. 55-yard punt for Aragoose. Miami has the football back. A bird's eye view of today's NFL action. Combined, Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2 travel over 12,000 miles per year. Look to the skies for Snoopy and the MetLife blimp. And the blimp view of Miami's offense with a 1st and 10 from their own 36. Play action. Marino. Pass is complete to Lamar Thomas as he crosses the 40-yard line. Right now, let's get an NFL Today report from Jim Nance in New York.
All right, Ian, this happened just seconds ago. 3rd and 1 for the Broncos. They were down 10 in this 4th quarter. Elway bringing it back, and on 3rd and 1, touchdown to Shannon Sharp that just added the extra point. They have 3.5 minutes to go to keep the perfect season intact. Let's go back to you.
Incredible. Maybe it is meant to be. Maybe Denver will go on for the undefeated season. They always seem to come up with a big play when they need it. On 2nd and 4. Abdul-Jabbar quickly brought down at the line of scrimmage. Lance Johnstone the tackle. There is a matchup coming up between the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos. And obviously the storyline there, Miami the only team to go undefeated.
Loss of 1 yard.
They will meet in Miami 2 weeks from now. Or is that a Monday nighter? It might be a Monday nighter. Upcoming schedule for the Dolphins: Jets, Broncos, and Atlanta. Toughest remaining schedule in the NFL, looking at combined records. Quick throw by Marino, and it's Thomas again. Just shy of midfield, enough for a first down, as Miami will move the chains and keep the clock moving as well. Pivotal game for the Dolphins. That's because the Jets came up with a victory earlier today, a controversial one. Jets improved to 9-4. Miami with a win can match the Jets, but they would lose the tiebreak currently. As mentioned, it's the Jets and Dolphins next week down in South Florida. On first down, Abdul-Jabbar crossing midfield for a pickup of 2 on the play. He was met by Marquise Walker. 7 minutes to play. Dolphins looking to put the finishing touches on the Raiders. Abdul-Jabbar. Again, Oakland. Marino on the toss. Parmalee coming out of the backfield. He's got the first down and then some. Parmalee finally tackled down just shy of the 25. Charles Woodson making the stop.
Because they keep getting close to Dan Marino, but he keeps getting rid of the ball and avoiding the sack.
Marino making his 38th consecutive start. Abdul-Jabbar lunging forward as he got down to the 22-yard line. Pickup of 4 on first down. Now a total of 892 yards rushing. He's gone over 900 with his effort today. Dolphins trying to run out the clock if possible, at least bring it down, as Abdul-Jabbar was spun around like a top by Greg Beaker. Of their Raiders, they have not loved what they've seen here this afternoon. Play whistle dead as flags fly down on a 3rd and 8 for Miami.
Ball start, 60 of the offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
3rd and 13 out of the gun. Marino, short toss to Stanley Pritchett, and well short of a first down. Bucky Brooks making the stop on Pritchett. It's a 3-possession game. Mara, 47-yard attempt is good. Olindo Mare knocking it down from 47 yards away. And Miami in front, 27-10, with 3 record set by Kenny Stabler, who had 7. George not suiting up today because of that groin injury. Rodney Williams on the return, angling towards the sideline and out of bounds at the 24. What about George? 50%, 60%? Is that better off for Oakland than going with a guy who was just so poor today in Donald Hollis?
I think the answer to that is clear. I think I'd take a 50 or 60% Jeff George in any situation. With the way that the quarterbacks are stacked with the Oakland Raiders, it's Jeff George, Donald Hollis, and Wade Wilson. And, you know, out of the 3 quarterbacks, obviously he's the guy. He's the guy they're paying a lot of money to perform. And even if he's not healthy, if he can come out and give you a spark just to start the game off and maybe get some points on the board, that could help you to a victory.
Wade Wilson able to get it off for Tim Brown. Good pickup on first down, but the clock now a major factor as Zach Thomas comes up with a stop. And the scoreboard, of course, 27-10. Miami has the lead. Wilson, quick snap. Finds Harvey Williams, who is brought down very quickly by Jerry Wilson. And the clock is stopped with 2:33 left in the fourth. The executive producer of CBS Sports is Terry Ewert. Today's game produced by Victor Frank and directed by Suzanne Smith. The coordinating director of the NFL on CBS, Larry Cavallina. Senior producer of CBS Sports is Eric Mann. NFL Today was directed by Bob Matina. The associate director of today's game was Sean Gerchikoff, and the broadcast associate, world traveling Sellers Shy.
And our group today down the truck's done an outstanding job, giving us the shots we need and the information we need to get this game rolling. And it's every week. I think we've got a great team here, Ryan, and I think it's something to look forward to in the future.
Been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun for the Miami Dolphins today. Not so much fun for John Gruden.
Jimmy doesn't look really happy over there on the sidelines, but I'll tell you what, his two linebackers, they're happy after their play this afternoon.
Should mention at some point the special guest that Jimmy Johnson had today on the 3rd and inches call for Oakland. Wade Wilson on the quarterback keeper. Now, if you're going to give me a thought on what kind of dog Jimmy Johnson would have, would you go with the Yorkshire Terrier?
I think a Doberman Pinscher or a Pit Bull or something, but and Buttercup. What's Buttercup about? How about Killer, Fang,
Killer,
like that?
Maybe Blitz.
Blitz would be a good one.
We've hit the 2-minute warning. Miami has control of this one, 27-10. 17-point lead for the Miami Dolphins on the Oakland Raiders with an even 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Big crowd on hand here today at Network Associates Coliseum. Dan Marino, it all started against the Raiders. It'll be another victory for him to improve to 5-4 all time against the Raiders. Don't forget, 60 minutes coming up after our coverage, except on the West Coast. You'll get it at your regularly scheduled time. Wade Wilson back to throw. The fullback John Ritchie forced out of bounds into Miami territory at the 41. Let's get an update. NFL Today report. Jim Nance in New York.
Gentlemen, 13 down, 3 to go for the perfect regular season. This was 4th and 10 for the Chiefs. Gannon sacked by Alfred Williams. Denver comes back from 10 down in the fourth quarter, and Miami will host them in 2 weeks. Back to you.
It's funny, Jim. In baseball, if you have a no-hitter going, perfect game, you usually don't talk about it. Denver, to a man, is more than happy to talk about the perfect season and how badly they want it. Wade Wilson airing it out. Wide open, James Jett. And out of bounds. Inside the 10-yard line. Now, that's the connection that gave Oakland a victory earlier this season against San Diego. Wilson to Jett on the ball.
James Jett just runs down the sideline. Sam Madison stops because he thinks he has deep help, and he lays off, but Brock Marion gets there way too late, and James Jett should have a touchdown if he stays in bounds. But, you know, here's the situation. You're looking at Wade Wilson. Hasn't been sacked since he's been in there, Ryan. He's been able to move the ball effectively. He could possibly be the starter next week if Jeff George didn't help him.
Might be an option. First and goal inside the 10. Wilson out of the pocket. Wilson on the sprint. Out of bounds at the 5. Jason Taylor coming out to the sideline and making some contact. No flag. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 5 coming up with 1:40 left in the fourth.
There's one thing about Wade Wilson. He's got fresh legs. He's only been in there for 7 snaps until this game, and he's definitely healthy. But when we talked to him before, Ryan said he wants to be a coach. He wanted to get into a West Coast offense so he could pick up some of the nuances of a West Coast offense from John Gruden, because he wants to get back in the NFL as a coach.
He's been a full-time backup since 1994, having played with Minnesota, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Dallas over the course of his career. There's the toss to Ritchie, trying to drag the defender, Surtain. And Ritchie is brought down at the 2. Timeout.
First team timeout. 30-second timeout.
Wilson on the roll. Toss to the end zone. Tim Brown. 2nd touchdown of the day.
And I just believe Wade Wilson is more comfortable in this offense. One is experience. He doesn't look rattled. He knows how to execute this offense. And he just looks like he's very comfortable doing it. And here he rolls out to the right and just throws it to Tim Brown. They ran a little pick inside, and Tim Brown got free. But it was just a simple play for Wade Wilson to roll out and complete that for a touchdown.
Is this a fair barometer, though, late in the game, final couple minutes, Miami maybe backing off defensively? Have you seen enough in your own mind to make Wade Wilson the starter next week?
I've seen enough of Donald Hollis that I know I'd rather have Wade Wilson as a starter. And even though Miami's backed off, here's a situation where he moved the team down the field. He avoided the sacks, and he completed passes, and he got him on the scoreboard.
Oakland cuts into the Miami lead, but with only a minute 27 left. Dolphins.
This experience alone, and you're in a playoff hunt, you've got to go with the guy with the experience.
Onside kick, the ball knocked around. Takes a Miami roll. And the Dolphins able to come up with the football. It was a good kick, but the ball popped into the hands of Terrell Buckley.
This ball gets knocked around quite a bit, and here's a situation where you've got your good hands team in there. All the little guys that have good hands are out there on the field. You don't see any linemen out there. You see defensive backs, wide receivers, couple linebackers, and you want these guys to put their hands on the ball, and there it gets kicked. You know, here's a situation where you've got your best hands on the field, and you just want them to hold on to the ball. And luckily enough, Terrell Buckley comes up with the play for the Miami Dolphins, and Jimmy Johnson can breathe a sigh of relief.
And the final seconds of this one in Oakland. Jimmy Johnson's team 9-4 and still very much alive for a shot at the AFC East title. Miami defense today, 8 sacks, 6 interceptions, tying a team record, and limiting Oakland to 5 of 15 on third down conversions, 33%.
There's also a lot of that, Ian. You got 2 returns for touchdowns from your line.
They started the season 8-2. They lost their last 6 games, and some here in the Oakland area have been comparing the 2 seasons. I don't know if that's fair. Oakland certainly not having a strong second half, but that was a complete and utter collapse, losing 6 straight games to finish 8-8. They look to be short of a playoff spot when you start 8-2. Oakland was never quite that good this season, and I think a lot of people around the country just didn't know what to make of the Oakland Raiders. They just didn't score much offensively. Defense, since Eric Allen, very important part of this defense, went down with a season-ending knee injury. They have no interceptions. So the defense, which has been the strong part of this team for most of the season, the touchdowns on 2 occasions, in fact, Zach Thomas and Robert Jones. The punt. Nobody is back there. As the Raiders went to block it, Wilmsmeyer's boot into the end zone. Will come out to the 20 with 23 seconds left. Back in November, 34-16. They were 1-7 in regular season games in Oakland, entering action today. Wade Wilson throwing the ball underneath to Harvey Williams. Groin injury.
Last couple of weeks they just couldn't get a good offense.
Wilson tripped up, able to get up and float the ball out of bounds. It'll be 3rd and 5 coming up.
And if they were able to win, it's almost like winning 2 games because it could have been the tiebreaker. And in the last couple of weeks, this team just has to perform better if they're going to get to that next step in the NFL and that's get to the playoffs.
On the draw play for Harvey Williams. And time has run out. A crucial victory for the Miami Dolphins. They keep pace with the New York Jets in the AFC East. Our final, Miami 27, Oakland 17. So for Mark May, our entire CBS crew here in the Bay Area, this is Ian Eagle. Miami wins it. This has been a presentation of CBS.